we're starting with physical quantities and measurement techniques. अच्छा, अब physical quantity क्या होती है? हर वो quantity जिसको हम measure कर सकते हैं, it's called a physical quantity. So a physical quantity is a quantity that can be measured. अब physical quantity की characteristics क्या है? There must be two things that are necessary for all physical quantities. हर physical quantity का numerical magnitude होना चाहिए, and it should have an SI unit. We have two types of physical quantities जो कि हमारे course में, and we'll be talking about them. We have scalars and we have vectors. अब scalars क्या होते हैं? A scalar quantity is a physical quantity जिसके पास सिर्फ magnitude होता है. This is a physical quantity. And this is also a physical quantity. How do we differentiate scalars and vectors? Scalars के पास सिर्फ magnitude होता है. Only magnitude. Whereas in vectors, we have magnitude and direction both. ये दोनों physical quantities हैं, दोनों के पास numerical magnitude है, दोनों के पास number है अपना, और दोनों के पास SI unit है. लेकिन इनमें difference क्या है कि scalar के पास सिर्फ magnitude है और vectors के पास direction भी मौजूद है साथ. Mass की कोई direction नहीं होती. Temperature की कोई direction नहीं होती. We just say it's like 30 degrees Celsius. हम उसकी कोई direction नहीं बताते साथ. लेकिन vectors के पास direction भी मौजूद होती है. जैसे कि weight है. It will be a vector. अब weight क्योंकि vector है, इसकी क्या direction है? Now, before we get to know the direction of weight, हमें पता होना चाहिए कि weight होता क्या है? Earth की gravity का pull on a mass. कोई भी object है हमारे पास, let's say we have a ball. This is a mass, right? If it's on the planet Earth, the Earth is going to attract it. Earth इसको अपनी तरफ pull करेगा. तो Earth की जो gravitational pull है on this ball is called the weight. तो इसकी direction है ना towards the center of the Earth. So that is why weight is a vector. We have another example of scalars and vectors. हमारे पास जो distance है, it is a scalar. Or displacement is a vector. Body travels from point A to point B. Now, this person can decide to go any way that they want. वो इस तरह भी जा सकते हैं, इस तरह भी, or in the purple path that's shown. तो जो total distance cover होता है ना by a moving object, that is called distance. और इसमें हम direction को regard नहीं करते. इसकी direction constantly change हो रही है, right? इसकी कोई specific direction नहीं है. We're just looking at the magnitude कि कितना उसने length cover की है. So that is called the distance. लेकिन दो points के दरमियान जो shortest distance होता है in a straight line, that is called displacement. तो displacement में हमारे पास direction आ जाती है क्योंकि it needs to be in a straight line और हमारे पास ये direction है इसकी. एक ही direction है तो इसको हम vector कहते हैं. Distance or displacement हम ज़्यादा discuss करेंगे in the next chapter of motion or kinematics. Now I have a little activity for you guys. So we have a table here और इसमें मैंने काफी कुछ quantities लिखी हुई हैं and I want you guys to participate here and just take guesses अगर आपको नहीं भी पता क्योंकि कुछ quantities will be new to you guys. So don't worry about it. Just try to take guesses. Whoever would want to go. So who'd like to tell me the distance क्या होता है? Is it scalar or vector?
Scalar.
That is right. Distance is a scalar. Displacement, is it scalar or vector?
Vector.
That is right. Displacement is a vector. What is speed? Is it a scalar or a vector?
It's a scalar.
That is right. It's a scalar. हम इसको ज़्यादा detail में discuss करेंगे in next chapter, so don't worry about it if you guys are confused about the differences.
Miss, also
Yes,
it's a scalar because it has a magnitude, right?
Yes, that is true. That's because it has a magnitude and speed does not have a specific direction. Mass, scalar or vector?
Scalar.
That is right. Weight, scalar or vector?
Vector.
That is right. weight is a vector. Identify करने के लिए आपने सिर्फ खुद ये सोच लेना कि इस चीज की डायरेक्शन कभी आपने सुनी है कि नहीं सुनी. कभी आपने एनर्जी की डायरेक्शन सुनी है?
No, miss.
Yes, so it's a scalar. कभी आपने टेम्परेचर की डायरेक्शन पढ़ी है? No, so it's a scalar. Sure. Okay, next we have time. किसी ने कभी टाइम की डायरेक्शन सुनी है?
No.
No, so it's a scalar. What about force? फोर्सेस किस तरह अप्लाई होती है? अगर ये एक बॉक्स है, इस पे इस डायरेक्शन में फोर्स लग रही है या इस डायरेक्शन में फोर्स लग रही है, फोर्सेस पे डायरेक्शन होती है?
Yes.
Yes. So is it a scalar or a vector?
Vector.
Acceleration is a vector. Next we have momentum. शायद आपने ये terms ना सुनी हो, that's why I'm doing it myself for
Yes,
right
miss, I've
now.
heard.
Next we have electric field strength. It is also a vector. Next we have gravitational field strength. It is also a vector. So I want you guys to take a minute and just try to memorize these terms, like which of these are scalars and vectors. Kyunki now we have a few practice questions. So take a minute and revise this table. Let's move on to the questions. What is the correct statement about force and velocity? B is the answer. That is right.
Okay, ma'am.
Great. क्योंकि अभी हमने टेबल में भी याद किया था कि फोर्स और वेलोसिटी दोनों वेक्टर्स हैं. फोर्स की तो डायरेक्शन आपको समझ आ गई होगी कि किस तरह होती है. किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट पे फोर्स लगे तो एक डायरेक्शन पे ही लगता है. वेलोसिटी हम नेक्स्ट चैप्टर में डिस्कस करेंगे. Okay. A student studies some equations. Power is work by time. Force is mass into acceleration. Velocity is displacement by time. How many vector quantities are contained in the equations? आपको ये formulas पता होने भी जरूरी नहीं है. Just try to like identify कि कौन कौन सी scalars हैं, कौन सी vectors हैं. Power है हमारे पास, work है, time है, force है, mass है, acceleration, velocity, displacement, time. इनमें से हमारे पास vector quantities कौन कौन सी हैं? Okay, let's look at the terms one by one. Power की कोई direction नहीं होती. It's a scalar. Next we have work. Work की भी कोई direction नहीं होती. It's a scalar. Next we have time. Time की भी कोई direction नहीं होती. It's a scalar. Force की भी हमने पढ़ा था direction होती है. So it's a vector. Mass की भी कोई direction नहीं होती. It's weight that has direction. That is towards the center of the earth. लेकिन mass की कोई direction नहीं होती. So it's a scalar. Acceleration की direction होती है. It is a vector. Velocity भी vector है, displacement भी vector है, and time is a scalar. So how many vector quantities do we have? 4. Force, as we have discussed earlier, कि किसी भी object पे अगर force लगती है तो it needs to be in a specific direction, तभी वो object move करेगा. As for acceleration, we will discuss it in the next chapter, लेकिन you guys can know कि acceleration is velocity by time. क्योंकि velocity हमारी vector है तो acceleration will automatically be a vector. Velocity is a vector definitely, or displacement is also a vector because it is a shortest distance. दो points के दरमियान जो shortest distance होता है in a specific direction, वो हमारा displacement है. That is why it's a vector. So our answer will be option D. Next question is question number 17. Each row contains a vector and a scalar. Now, first of all, let's identify which physical quantities, which scalars, and which vectors are given in this table. हमारे पास है distance traveled by the car, we have displacement of the car, we have speed of the car, velocity of the car, mass of the car, and weight of the car. So I have listed the scalars on this side and the vectors on the other side. Only to revise, you guys must remember by now that if I have a curved path, the total length that this car covers from the start to the end of the journey is the distance. And the shortest length between the start and the end point is the displacement. Alright? So, जब curved path हो हमारे पास, the distance is different from displacement. But let's say I have straight line motion. Let's say that a car is traveling on a straight road. Let's say that this is point A, the start point, and this is point B, the end point of the car's journey. Now, in this situation, you see the distance is also from A to B in the straight line, and of course, the displacement will also be the same. So remember, whenever you have straight line motion, distance is equals to the displacement. Now, if I were to divide this distance by time, I would get the speed. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be discussing this entire speed velocity concept in more detail in the next chapter. But if I were to divide the displacement by time, I would get the velocity of the car. अगर तो curved path हो तो क्योंकि distance और displacement different होंगे तो हमारे पास टाइम से डिवाइड करने के बाद स्पीड और वेलोसिटी पे डिफरेंट आएंगे लेकिन अगर स्ट्रेट लाइन मोशन हो तो डिस्टेंस और डिस्प्लेसमेंट दोनों इक्वल है कार उतने ही टाइम में डिस्टेंस और डिस्प्लेसमेंट दोनों कवर करेगी सो द स्पीड और वेलोसिटी विल बी इक्वल इन दैट स्पेसिफिक सिचुएशन. So let's look at the options. Can displacement be equal to speed? No. Can velocity be equal to distance? No. Can velocity be equal to the speed of the car? That is right. In what situation can that happen? When the car is traveling in a straight line. To elaborate that a bit more, let's say that a car is moving at 40 kilometers per hour. If I only add the magnitude or the size of this quantity, this is the speed. But if I say that the car is moving at 40 kilometers per hour towards east, the addition of this direction has made this a vector now. Okay? So, option C would be the correct option. The velocity is equal to the speed of the car. Let's discuss option D now. What is mass and what is weight and how do they differentiate from one another? Mass is the total amount of matter in a body. Let's say that there is a ball and it's on the planet Earth. Now, we know that Earth has a very strong gravitational field strength, which means that the Earth pulls this ball towards itself. Take it? So, the effect of this gravitational field strength, this attractive pull of the Earth on this ball, is what is defined as the weight of the ball. Okay? So, the mass, m, I'll use the letter m for mass, m multiplied by the gravitational field strength equals to the weight. We take the value of this g to be 10 meters per second squared, or 10 newtons per kilogram. We'll discuss the differences between mass and weight in more detail and the units in the following few chapters. So, if the mass of the car is, let's say, 600 kilograms, what will the weight be equal to? The mass, which is 600, multiplied by the value of g, which is 10, equals to 6,000 newtons. Okay? For now, just remember that weight is a force, and this SI unit for a force is newtons. So, now you must be clear how mass and weight are different from one another. If, let's say, that the mass of an adult is 65 kilograms, the weight would be 65 multiplied by the value of g, which is 10, equals to 650 newtons. You guys need to memorize this table. इस पे questions बहुत कम आते हैं, लेकिन there is a chance कि वो paper 2 में आपको test कर सकते हैं to write in index notation and all of that. तो आप इसको बेहतर याद कर लें और आपको इसमें math में भी काफी मदद हो जाएगी. Giga is 10 to the power of 9, mega is 10 to the power of 6, kilo is 10 to the power of 3, milli is 10 to the power of -3, micro -6, nano -9, pico -12. इसके prefixes के आपने symbols भी देख लेने हैं. अब question ऐसा आता है, you guys will be able to understand better कि क्या इसको learn करने का मकसद है. Power is measured in watts. What is the correct symbol for millions of watts? 8 million में कितने zeros होते हैं? 6 zeros. So it's 10 to the power of 6. right? अब देखें 10 to the power of 6 कौन सा prefix है? It's mega. And what is the symbol for mega? Capital M. तो हमारे पास ये capital M W आंसर है megawatts. और watts का symbol हमेशा capital W होता है. That is why option D is the right answer. ये small m किसका symbol है? Small m is for milli. That is why this is wrong. Okay, so we measure length using different instruments. सबसे common instrument जो आपको भी पता होगा meter rule or a ruler. A ruler is used to measure small distances. या आपने याद रखना जब आपके पास small distances होंगे up to a meter, up to 1 meter. 1 meter तक के distances के लिए you guys are going to use a ruler. As you can see कि ruler में divisions होती हैं. अब ये 0 to 1 centimeter के दरमियान 10 divisions हैं. हर एक division 1 millimeter को represent करती है. This one fraction is 1 millimeter. So the point to memorize here is first of all कि ruler is used to measure small distances of a few centimeters up to 1 meter. और वो measure कर सकते हैं distances nearest millimeter पर भी. All right. अब जब हमने larger distances cover करने होते हैं, जैसे कि up to a few meters, तो हम use करते हैं tape measure. और अगर उससे भी larger distances cover करने हो, तो we use a trundle wheel. Like the one you can see here. The diagram shows an enlarged drawing of the end of a meter rule. It is being used to measure the length of a small feather. इस question का जो objective है आपको ये सिखाना कि हमने ruler की measurements किस तरह से लेनी है क्योंकि this question is often repeated. So you guys should know how to read a ruler and it's very simple. We've been doing it since forever. Okay, now take a minute and try to read the measurement on this ruler scale कि इस feather की कितनी length है. I'll give you guys a minute. इसमें उन्होंने हमसे simply ये पूछा हुआ है कि इस feather की length क्या है. तो आपने उसके start और end को mark कर लेना. ये इसका start point है और ये इसका end point है. अब आपने start point में से end point को subtract कर देना. Start पर हमारे पास क्या value आ रही है? Let's see कि हर interval 1 show कर रहे हैं 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Start point हमारे पास 29 है और end point हमारे पास 10 है. अब हमने start point में से end point को subtract कर देना. So 29 minus 10 will be 19. हमारे पास magnitude तो आ गया 19. तो we know कि हमारा option या A होगा या C होगा. अब आप देखें कि आपके रूलर के इस साइड पर जिसको हम मेजर कर रहे हैं हमारा millimeters में मेजर कर रहा है रूलर. तो that's why we're going to choose 19 millimeters.